There's a really common misconception I see with a lot of folks who are just starting their career in tech sales. And they get very wrapped up in sales, which is great, and they see a lot of early success, and before they know it, their entire identity gets wrapped around sales. So I wanted to talk about, on a few different levels, how sales is not the end game. And this gives you the ability, one, to detach yourself from the outcome, but two, I think in my opinion, in my experience thus far, extend your career and have the longevity to maintain a highly successful and impactful career in tech sales. Just explaining a little bit further, even from my own background, I worked as an engineer for 3 years, and by the end of it, I hated it. Like, I got a great job out of school, I was at a very reputable company, I was making decent money, and the reality is, I hated the work that I was doing. I didn't even care about it. And it's no fault of the companies, it's no fault of the work itself, it's just my personality was not geared towards a hardcore engineering role. So thankfully, in my case, because I had some different experiences, by the time I got to tech sales, I was willing to do whatever it took to break in, not for the money, but because I had done a ton of research on it and I knew that it would be a great fit for my personality. By extension, also during that time when I was an engineer, I had a unique opportunity to do things. I was formerly an athlete and played for Team USA. So I had a chance to play in a world championship. I had been in a situation when I was younger where I was hyper obsessed with something, which in my case was sport. And my entire identity was wrapped around playing for Team USA. My entire identity was wrapped around competing at the highest level at all times. And thankfully, going throughout the years, I had a chance to kind of step back, and especially as I got into sales, I wasn't in a situation where I was totally defined by my W-2, where I was totally defined by my success in business. The reason I bring this up is because a lot of folks, yes, there is an element of going all in. And yes, I think especially the first year or two, it is absolutely worth working tons of long hours, really putting yourself and diving headfirst, learning everything you can, whether you're working in, an 8 to 10 hour day and then reading about sales, researching further in the evenings. It's important to put that mentality up front so you can really set yourself up for the long term. What I see with a lot of folks who have had sales as their full-time career, their entire career, is that a lot of times, I don't know if it's a rough age or a rough set of experience, but it seems like kind of late 20s, early 30s, a lot of people, if they've had a lot of success in sales, start to not find it as fulfilling. They don't want to go the extra mile. They don't want to put all that extra effort in. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Sales, again, is not the end game. It's the medium to enable you to do a lot of different things in life. But I think so many people get so focused on, I want to do sales and I want to be the best in all these different things. And it works out for a long time. You see a lot of results. But as you start to get a house, as you start to get in a comfortable financial situation, all of the things that were driving you early on are not as prevalent anymore, and they don't mean as much. And on top of that, there's another 22-year-old grad. There's another young person breaking into sales for the first time that has all that energy and is willing to put in that extra effort that you now no longer have. So my point being is, if you're looking to break into tech sales, you're in a much better position if you realize that it's not the end game in of itself. Making money is not the end game in of itself. Sales is going to enable you to have a very flexible lifestyle that has high earning potential, and also teach you the skills, whether it's to start your own business, to have more meaningful conversations and better relationships with folks. Whatever it might be, sales is a tool that is going to enable you to do that. And that way, there are days where I'm definitely unmotivated. There's days where I don't have the energy to put in the extra hour or two, but I can force myself to do it because I have broader goals outside of just my immediate tech sales job. It's great. I've been global #1 at my company before, and that's great. But at the end of the day, I don't really care. It's a byproduct of just putting in the work and enjoying my craft and doing what I do. It's a byproduct of having the ability to travel overseas once or twice a year and go to cool different places and explore. It's a byproduct of enabling me to run a side business in specialty coffee, which is a pure passion project of mine. It enables me to do these different things and enhances the skills that are kind of the glue to make all of that happen. Whether it's drive, whether it's consistency, communication, the ability to form relationships. These are the things that I derive happiness from in my tech sales role. And when it gets tough, or when I think about not putting in as much effort, I can go back and see the bigger picture with these different things. Whereas if I was young in my career and I was so hyper focused on tech sales, maybe I finally make 300K that first year. The second year around, it's not that cool anymore. I've got a BMW, I've got whatever I want, I've got a nice house. And now all of a sudden it's like, the second you hit 300,000, the next year that you do it, it's kind of like table stakes at this point in your mind. I can even tell you from growing this YouTube channel. Like, I literally just started trying to put out free content. I really didn't care about the subscriber count, though I do notice 66.8% of you are watching multiple videos and not subscribing, so please subscribe. The reason that I made this channel is, yes, to bring light to my side business, but in reality, my business partner and I that started this were so tired of seeing highly technical salespeople be incredibly lackluster in their performance. And there's such a shortage of real tech sales talent that we just felt really compelled to try and make honest and helpful videos to people who who are trying to break into highly technical sales. Everything else is a byproduct. It's been great. We appreciate the support and we want to keep growing this and giving great content. But at the end of the day, we're just doing this because we enjoy it. We enjoy our craft of tech sales. We enjoy finding people who would be very good at tech sales and don't necessarily realize that, and coaching them up very quickly and giving them an opportunity to increase their income. These are things that I enjoy more so than an exact dollar amount, more so than the subscriber count, more so than the success in my own career. It is a vehicle to enable you to do the things that you want. And if part of that is tech sales, that's great. But if your entire identity is wrapped up in your single job or your single W-2 performance, how's that working out for you? When you go out to the bar and you're telling people, yo, you should try tech sales, I made 300K. They're like, that's cool. You have a nice conversation. And then they probably leave and either forget that or don't really care, or they think you're full of yourself because all you're talking about is how much money you make. Lastly, the only reason I bring this up is from my own experience. And while it wasn't directly for tech sales, again, I was so obsessed with sport when I was younger. I was so obsessed with playing for Team USA, and it was an amazing thing. It was very motivating, and it wasn't all bad. But at the end of the day, I found that all the accolades that came with playing for Team USA, all these different things were good. And it was a positive reinforcement loop that kept me motivated and moving forward. But there was also a downside, where if you get too invested in that as your identity, or if you're too focused on being the best at one thing, when you actually get there, if you haven't done preparation, if you don't have healthy relationships outside of that, if you don't have healthy hobbies, I mean, I'm not here to tell you exactly what the right mix of those is, but if you're solely focused on that and you finally achieve that one thing, I can tell you from experience, you're not gonna be that happy and you're not gonna be that fulfilled. And this is also from other folks' experiences as well. One rep that I really respect that I will keep anonymous has been in sales for almost 20 years. We had very similar paths in the sense that he studied engineering, switched over to sales, and we had a conversation one time when we weren't even working together anymore. I caught up over drinks with him, and he was talking about how he joined one of the most prominent tech companies now that we see right as it was really hitting its exponential uptick. And as he approached his 30s, he was making over $1 million a year, no problem. He had risen up incredibly fast in the organization. He was married, had a house, had a great life by all means. But he actually reached a point where he burned out and had to take a couple of years off and travel the world and really figure out what he wanted out of life. And it was an amazing experience to talk about. I won't go in any further depth. But again, I think a lot of people have their head in the right place, and it's okay to want a higher salary. It's okay to want to be the best at your position. But again, sales is the medium, not the end game, that enables you to do that. Sales is an opportunity for you to grow your skill set. The money is a byproduct. Sales is an opportunity to give you flexible work-life balance. So as an example, 3 weeks ago, I worked a week in Mexico. It was an amazing time. Sales also is going to give you the financial flexibility to do things, whether it's, yes, buy yourself some nice stuff, but maybe contribute to family members' college funds or whatever it might be, right? If you have a healthy balance of desire to do incredibly well from an individual perspective, but don't put all your eggs in one basket and seek sole fulfillment from that, I think you're in a great place to not only interview well because you're seeing sales for what it is, which is a great tool set and a great learning opportunity. Also personally, you're putting emphasis on developing a complete and wholesome life as opposed to one that is strictly defined by corporate or financial success. And I think that will set you up to do very well in the long term. As you get older and your priorities change, maybe you don't have the energy to make 100 dials a day, but maybe you're the best closer in the world because you respect the craft of tech sales and you want to learn everything you can about the product that you're selling, about your end users, and they appreciate the detail that you go to. Not that you're making 100 dials a day and calling all different types of folks, but as you're getting higher and higher in your tech sales career, developing really, really impactful relationships, you putting an emphasis on having a very well balanced and meaningful and happy life will be the ultimate key to your success in the long run. So I hope that helped. I don't know if I'm getting too meta now, but I appreciate again all the subscribers and all the support for this channel. If you are watching and finding value, we would appreciate it if you subscribe. But nonetheless, have a great week. We'll see you next time.